wants a single family home in a neighborhood where there's a homeowners association and everybody's house sort of looks the same because there are the rules. And they had a budget of $250. So they're looking at Woodstock and Canton, 30, I think it was 30188 and
30199 or 89.
Not 89 was too far. And then I think it was 30115 instead of 30114 for Canton, I think it was.
Can you find a single family home for that?
Yeah, we found some nice houses, but they just, I don't know. So in any event, it was that they can't come to an agreement. How do you deal with that when you can't get husband and wife on the same page? And they even admitted it in kind of like our last Zoom meeting. They're like, we just can't agree on what we want. So we're going to put it on hold for a little bit until we can come to an agreement. And he was doing the whole market thing. I want to see where the market goes. I feel like people are going to end up, getting foreclosed on and all this. So I tried to emphasize the interest rates, and we don't know what's going to happen with the market. Here's what's going on now. And he just kept saying that, well, we're not liking what we see for the money. But then he also mentioned that he didn't have closing costs, which is something that he said he had in the beginning, that his brother was giving him the money for closing, for the down payment and closing. And then it ended up that his brother's only going to give him down payment and not closing costs. So there were like a number of different things why he wanted to put it on hold.
So couple thoughts on that. Remember that when they say that, God, there's like 80 things I want to tell you right now.
Yeah, I know.
I'm trying to decide what to say first. Okay, so when they start talking, like I showed the first home I've shown in probably 2 years yesterday to a friend, and it's hard, guys. It's hard. Like, they want what they can't afford. It's not fun.
Yeah.
And I get that. And sometimes it's really hard it's really hard. And you want to say like, oh, well, maybe, you can save up a little bit more money. And it's just, it's really tough. So you have to say like, look, I want to kind of regroup with you guys a little bit. Okay. And everything is from the attitude of, I'm here to help you. All right. So what I'd love to do, guys, is just regroup. Okay. I want to make sure that I'm servicing you in the best way to service you. Let me tell you a little bit about how I'm feeling right now. I'm feeling like you, Mrs. Wife, want this type of property. And I'm feeling you, Mr. Husband, like this type of property. And when I ask you questions about what you want, I'm listening really closely. And my job is to take you to exactly that property. Now, let's fast forward and let's pretend like I take you to the perfect townhome. And it's the right floor plan and it's the right price and it's exactly where you want Mrs. to live. And I say, are you ready to move forward? You're going to say, well, I am. And the husband's going to say, well, no, this ain't the place for me. Okay, that's one scenario. The other scenario is the exact opposite. I take you to the exact single family home in the exact cookie cutter neighborhood, and you love it and you're ready to move forward and the wife's stalling. I said, so I'm kind of in a situation where I'm actually never going to be successful. Right?
Yeah, and we were there. That's exactly what you're describing is exactly what's happened.
Exactly. So like there is no property at this current moment that I could take you to that everyone's going to be on the same page with. So what do you guys think is the best thing I can do to help you right now? Do you need to see a few more townhomes and need to see a few more single family homes so that you guys can have a better conversation about which direction we want to go? If so, sign me up. Or is it not about that at all and you think that the whole market's going to tank? By the way, we're not going to have a flood of foreclosures. Everyone's got equity right now, right? So you need to make sure you bring up that point. Yeah, the market may fall off a bit because of unemployment or people that are delinquent in their mortgages and stuff, and in an effort to get out of a property that they have a financial pinch on, they're not going to give it back to the bank because they got equity, so they'll just sell it for what it's worth, right? But if we get off of 1.5 months of supply, if we don't move from that, there ain't going to be no declining in prices. I can promise you that. Okay, so they're going to have a come to Jesus meeting about what type of property is going to make them happy, right? They got to decide that first, and then the second they make that decision, boy, I'm going to take you right to it.
So,
but right now, I could be the best realtor in the universe, and I'm not going to be successful. So how do I help you?
And I don't even know if this is a question that can be answered, but when they're so different, like, I guess I don't understand the mindset with one wanting a townhome and one wanting a single family, and then you both collectively went out and ventured to want to start the home buying process. It's just like, I don't get what their end result was, being that they didn't kind of have that meetings of the mind prior to doing all of this.
Oh, wait, Ebony, are you expecting everyone to make decisions with perfect logic?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing is, people just want what they want, and whether it makes sense or not, right? And so, like, our job is to give them a little bit of education and help fix all the misunderstandings that they currently have. And I'll tell you, I'll give you a perfect example. Okay, when my wife and I bought a home in Toco Hills last July. Okay, and Toco Hills is a very interesting real estate market. Okay, very heavy Jewish population there. Many homes are sold off market. It's like this little bubble within Atlanta where it doesn't follow any of the rules of the standard real estate market. Okay, and you can get a tear down for basically $425, and then you got to pay to knock it down, and then you got to pay to hire a architect to draw you a building, and if you're not prepared to spend 1.112, forget about it. Okay, that's one option. Or you can get a what would have been a tear down, but they threw 50 or 100 grand into it and made it a small, relatively updated, 1,800 square foot house. You can get that for about $550, but those are very hard to find. More like $5. And there's not much in between. Like, there are no $700,000 homes. There's just not. There's a big gap in the market, right? So we were trying to figure out: do we build? Do we buy one of these little ones? Do we get a townhome? Like, it's very hard market to navigate. Plus, if it comes on the market, the general assumption is it's already been picked through from all the handful of realtors that work in the market in disguise, right? So it's a very tricky market. And we were all over the place trying to decide what we wanted. So, like, sometimes seeing the homes and seeing the market will help clear up some of those issues, right? That's what I was referring to earlier. It's like, Donna, you take these buyers on and say, hey, we're going to go and look at 3 of each today. And by the end of the day, y'all are going to tell me which direction we're headed. Okay. I want you to think about where you're going to store your stuff. I want you to think about what dinner time is going to look like. I want you to tell me about if you have a friend come over, what's that experience going to be like if you live here versus here? Mm-hmm. I want you to tell me when your kids go play, what's that going to look like in both of these spaces, right? Talk to me about your lifestyle, right? Do you guys like watching movies together? Do you like eating food together? Do you like having guests? Do you like, tell me more. Tell me more about your lifestyle, so I can help provide some guidance on which space might be better, right? When we had owned our previous home, we had a townhome over near Chastain Park. And literally, we looked at that place and my wife gave me the glance, and we went outside and she's like, can we afford this place? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, I want this place and I never want to leave. This is like my perfect place. Right. And then 4 years later, she's like, this ain't for me anymore. You know, that's how it happens. Right. And we had a lot of storage and we had a really nice jacuzzi tub and all that. And we moved into a home with much less storage and no tub. But she has different values at now. Right. Mm-hmm. So people are going to change their mind 1,000 times. Your job is to ask the tough questions so that they get clarity on why they think the way they think. Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, how many times has your husband said something stupid, and then you explain why you said the way you think the way you think, and he's like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. And my wife is like, why don't you just trust me? And I said, dear, I trust you. I just need the answers. Mm-hmm. And she's like, this business would be a whole lot easier if we didn't have to deal with humans, but we do.
Yeah. So I have a little insight on my couple because the wife works with my daughter, and what I've heard is that the husband is afraid of making the commitment to buying a house. He's afraid of having that responsibility of a mortgage. And the reason why he wants the single family house with a basement is for security in his own mind, that he can rent out the basement to his relatives or friends or whatever if for some reason he can't afford the mortgage. And she's leaning towards the townhome because, like I mentioned, she likes to be in that close-knit type community. When he's away, she feels secure. She wants new, so she can get like new construction in Canton and Woodstock. And she wants that little patio and yard area for the kids. But he is that's another underlying psychological thing, that he's just afraid to make the commitment. So I think the longer we were in the process looking for a house, the more scared he got. And when he couldn't find that house with the basement, and we found some, but she didn't like them, then the whole thing kind of fell apart.
I don't think in that situation, any number of homes that they see is going to solve that.
I know.
So you got to go to them and say, look, I mean, in all honesty, the first thing I'm thinking is, okay, let's pretend for a second that we buy the house. And then let's pretend that we fall on hard times and we really need to have like a buddy move into the basement. I mean, are we 19?
I know. Who wants someone living in their house with their family, with young kids? I don't know.
Right. Like, is that like, look at the wife and say, is this something that you could see yourself experiencing? Like, do you want this? And she's going to say, hell no.
I didn't do that.
An apartment is still.
Wait, Ebony, you're breaking up a little bit.
Let's just say that. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So let's just say that was the case. An apartment is still going to cost them more. Like either way, yeah. Like with the home, at least they give you more than 3 days. Like if you're late on rent, they want their money by that fourth day. It's a $150 penalty, then eviction fees and everything else. So either way, that's not a good solution.
I've said the same thing. What do you do if you can't afford your rent? You're in an even worse situation.
They're going to kick you out a whole lot sooner than, yeah. And then you can't even rent your apartment out.
No.
Like, you can't sublease.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually, I didn't actually think about that. That's a really good point. I mean, you know, buying a house is an adult decision.
Yeah, I don't think
and
he's not there.
Maybe he's not there. This is kind of what I was alluding to earlier, is like, you know, if you're gonna make decisions that are rooted in scarcity, you're gonna have a scarce life. And if you want to make decisions that are rooted in abundance, then you can have an abundant life.
You want to hear another thing? He actually works for Wells Fargo. So he gets a really great interest rate with them. It's like a point off what it would normally be. Yeah, it's like all the reasons why to move forward, it doesn't make sense. Not that
Well,
working at the big bank would be a great experience, I guess, from what I've heard, but
well, they're not teaching people how to generate wealth. They're generating wealth for the bank.
yeah.
Right.
It would be a deal for him.
I gotta tell you, you're confusing me a little bit. My solution to this is go get somebody else that's more motivated, and let these people fight it out and get their crazy brains on the same page, and then you'll tend to them.
So that's kind of what I've done, because I had a kind of a closeout meeting with them where they said they wanted to wait because of all these things that they're thinking and what's going on. But they said they only wanted to wait a short time. He was talking about waiting until after the election and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah, because if Trump wins, everything is going to change for all the Trump supporters. And if Biden wins, we're just going to be able to snap our fingers and everything is going to change for all the people that voted for Biden.
So
come on. Ain't nothing going to be any different.
I haven't been spending my time on them, but should I reach out to them again, touch base? I mean, it's probably been probably about a month since I had a Zoom call with them, but I have texted them in between probably once a week. So
yeah, I check in with them. Just say, hey, just wanted to check in with you guys. Do you have any questions? Have you come to any conclusions? Is there anything that I can do to help you right now?
Yeah. Okay, then I guess I'm doing what I should be doing. I mean, it's approval letter and everything. We were ready to go. I just
Ebony, I'm glad you came back. I was like, oh man, I said the word Trump and she left. Shit. I'm spending a considerable amount of time and effort ignoring what's going on.
Hey, I saw the book club. I'm gonna join you guys. I ordered my book yesterday.
Good.
So I started reading it, and the first, I guess it was the preface or something, was a little political, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how are they handling that in the book club? Because I know everybody's not the same political persuasion. Some people might be offended by some of the things the author said about Trump in it was the preface, introduction.
You know, how do I want to respond to that? If somebody's going to get offended at that, they're missing the point of the book. Right? Are they coming into the experience looking for something to piss them off so they can blow it off? Mm-hmm. Or are they here to listen? Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, I personally, I sat in a mastermind that we were probably a little ahead of our time a few years ago when we tried to do this. As silly as ridiculous as that sounds in and of itself. Right. Where we had agents that are talking about the struggle that they have on whether to put their picture on a sign because they're of color. I've never thought about that once.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So clearly I need to be listening. Mm-hmm. Okay. And if somebody can't make sense of that, then they should be in the room listening also. Mm-hmm. I don't know how else to say it.
I mean, those things are a struggle. I mean,
right?
Everyone's experience might be different from mine. For example, I'm in a mixed family, and that thought crosses my mind when my husband takes me to do a showing. Like, am I gonna lose a client because of my personal relationship? If I take my husband to do an open house with me, is that gonna be an issue for somebody that walks in that's thinking about buying? It's in the forefront of my mind, and I'm not of color, but I have certain realities that I have to deal with.
Yeah. There are going to be people that, however, it hasn't stopped you.
I'm not going to let it stop me.
Yeah, because you're a certain type of person, right? And you're going to be successful in spite of any challenges that are real or imagined, right? There will be other people with basically your exact same story that will be so paralyzed with the inability to make a decision on how they're going to move forward because of these things, that they will choose not to be successful. And I'm not trying to judge who's right or who's wrong. But if you're looking for a way to not get out there and create a life by design, you will find it.
Yeah.
If you are looking out there for a way to create a life by design, you will also be successful, right? Look, I'm just a white dude talking about like a couple of little things. Like I don't experience a lot of the things that you guys do. But about 10 years ago, I made a decision that I was not going to work on the Sabbath. Okay. So our Sabbath is Friday night to Saturday night. Okay. No phone calls, no texts, no showings, no, but, none of that. Okay. I didn't care what you wanted to see, or I was just not going to do it. Okay. When I explained that I wasn't available, I got a lot of pushback. And in some situations, I gave them more detail, and in other situations, I didn't give them more detail. When I had earned the business and they really liked working with me, and we had become closer, sometimes I would give them more detail. Interestingly enough, it was the non-Jewish people that were a hell of a lot more understanding. They're like, oh, the Sabbath, I wish I could do that, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes I got more pushback from the Jewish people to say, well, I'm Jewish and I don't do that. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. So, like, people are very, very quick to judge. I found that the less I judge, the more successful I've become. And if I do something that causes you not to want to do business with me, whatever.
So be it.
That's your problem. Okay. Now, this is also very tricky. Okay. You can search my Facebook from top to bottom, and you will have no clue what political party I align with. You will not know what type of beer I like drinking. You will not know my opinion on gay marriage or any of that stuff. I stay away from all of that. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, does that mean that I'm afraid to post it? No, I understand that I'm a public figure to some degree, and I don't need that drama. Mm-hmm. Right? Now, somebody might say, well, you must not be proud to be a Democrat or proud to be a Republican. Look, I'm living my life, man. I ain't got time to mess with what you think about.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree. Like, I will not let my beliefs, it's not going to come in between my business. I can feel the way that I want about something, but if it can hinder me, one has nothing to do with the other. Like, I can't align those two together.
But for me, it's about respect, right? If you respect me, I will work with you. If you disrespect me, ain't going to happen. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, you can love gays or hate gays. But if you're respectful and it's not like in your face, then we can do business together.
Yeah.
You ever seen do you guys know the story of the Pursuit of Happiness? I love that movie, by the way. Have y'all seen that?
I haven't seen it. That's the Will Smith movie. I have
Yeah,
not.
you've seen that, right, Ebony?
It's good.
So the
It's real
guy,
good.
William Gardner, I think is his name. The gentleman that this, you know, it's a true story, right?
Is this the one where the bank took the last little bit of money he had in his bank account or something like that? So he was basically totally broke and homeless.
Yeah, that's like one of 1,000 problems that this dude faced, right? Now there are some, not everything is perfectly accurate, right? There's some embellishments and little changes, like the baby was actually not like a 3 or 4 year old. He was like a straight up baby when this was happening, right? So there's some timing issues that were present, but the guy, the gentleman that the movie is about, he actually spoke at family reunion like 6 or 7 years ago. And he's actually spoken twice at family reunion, once at family reunion, once at mega camp. Maybe he was the speaker 10 years ago when I went to mega camp, when I was outside of KW and I was being recruited to come. He was the speaker. And so I've gotten a chance to hear him a few times, and the way he tells a story is just phenomenal. Like, he did business with this like big rich white oil man or whatever, and from Texas, and that was slinging out, you know, N-words and these kind of things. And didn't know that this man was black. And when he met him in person, the guy like had just almost fainted. And just like he said, when I would like talk to these guys, I'd go into the boss's office, and he said I sit behind the office and I'd, you know, take down all the little pictures of his white family and put up all the pictures of my black family. I mean, it's just so hilarious. Like the conversations, but look, I'm just trying not to be controversial, man. I'm not here to shower my political views on people. I'm just as confused as y'all. Okay. I think that there's lots of problems with both parties. Right? Anyway, that's probably the most political statement I've made in here.
But it's something we face. I mean, politics, it's reality. Like I told you, I have a lot of Facebook friends that I'm trying to kind of nurture and recruit. So you see what people post, and sometimes it's offensive to me because it's against what I believe. And I have to kind of reconcile that in myself. Like, is this somebody I want to do business with? Can I look past that and make sure that I'm providing the same quality service that I would provide to anyone to this person? So it's something that we face. It's a reality. I mean,
right. And the cool part about it is we can do whatever we want to do. That's also kind of what we were talking about earlier, is perhaps you don't have that ability if you don't have enough opportunities. If I've got 2 people I'm courting and they're both bigots and I got to feed my family this month, well, I'm going to help them.
I could work with a bigot.
Right? If I've got 50 clients I'm courting and 2 of them are bigots, buddy, you're going to have to go find a different agent. I got time for that nonsense.
Yeah. But also, do I want to be that person that's judging someone else? You know, who am I to judge? Who says that my view is the right view? You know, so I don't know.
Well, it's do you feel like you're in a respected relationship, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that. I guess the presupposition here is that racism is bad. I suppose we could look at it from the other side that says like racism is good, and so anyone that seems to like all races is inherently bad. I mean, that's just crazy talk. Right? So like, I'm not judging the guy because he yelled a slur as a good or a bad person. I'm just saying I don't want that energy in my world, right, and I don't want to hang out with you all day. Right? Yeah. So I don't really care whether you think of yourself as good or bad. I just don't want anything to do with you. That's my decision.
It's a good way to look at it.
Right?
Yep.
It's a crazy world out there. I mean, we're trying to be all things to all people, yet we only have a limited amount of time. And at the end of the day, whenever you say yes to somebody, you are saying no to your family to some degree, right? If I'm like, I said yes to a showing at 7:30 last night. Okay. It was right around the corner from my house. It's a very good friend of mine. We've known each other for many, many years. Therefore, I missed most of my daughter's bedtime. That was the decision that I made, right? It's the first time I've done that in over 2 years. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Now, believe me, my daughter was up when I got home, and it was basically as if we started bedtime at 8:30 instead of 6:45, but
yeah.
She's like, we usually spend an hour and a half together. I guess that's happening tonight too. All right. What else is on your mind?
I guess that's it. It's just crazy buyers. That's all.
It all comes down to, you gotta know the difference between objections and conditions. A condition is like, you can't buy a home for financial purposes or because the divorce isn't final or something like that. There's
right.
no like line you're going to deliver that's going to change that.
Right.
Okay. An objection is, well, I'm a little unsure about, your commission or something. Like you can speak to that. But if the guy's worried about the election, say, can you see yourself making any decisions at all prior to the election? No. Cool. I'll call you on November 3rd. Every minute we spend together between now and then is a waste of time.
Waste of time. Right.
Right.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? It's like, just cut to the chase. Are you dumping me? Yes or no? I need to know.
Yeah. And when we talked, that was not they were very happy with my service. They had no complaints. It was just because that's, I wanted to make sure I was providing everything that they needed. I wanted to make sure it wasn't me. Because I was a little concerned. Maybe I was showing them too many properties. Maybe I should be more stern up front and say, here's 6 properties and, you're going to buy one of these. Like some of the scripts that we've heard, you're going to end up buying one of these. I don't know. It's just the inventory is so low. It's like there's not a lot to choose from. So it's hard to find really good properties that are meeting their wants. It's just tough.
So they certainly need to be prepped to understand that they're going to need to make a quick decision. So when you walk into a home and you say, wow, this one's the one, please understand you're not the only one thinking that.
Yeah.
Are you prepared to make a quick decision?
Yeah.
If the answer is no, help me understand why let's walk through that a little bit. Why are you hesitant? Is it because you, is this something that we can cure? Or is this something like you're never going to be able to deal with? Right? Okay. Like if you can't handle making a quick decision, you should sit it out for the next 5 years.
Yeah. I think that's pertinent to my buyer in McDonough. The guy that pulled out because he wanted all the new components, all the new HVAC and all that. And they agreed to almost everything we asked for, except for the 1 extra year on the warranty and using their contractor instead of a contractor that we picked. And he backed out of that. I thought that was totally crazy.
Yep.
He's learning because right after that, when we submitted an offer, it was competing with 31 other offers and he lost. So.
Okay. So it's sometimes people, Andy says this phrase a lot. I'm trying to remember exactly the way he says it. Sometimes I'm going to butcher it. Sometimes people learn by hearing and sometimes people learn by experiencing. Do you need to feel this, or would you be cool with just hearing it?
Yeah. I think
Can I tell you that you're about to lose this home, or do you actually need to lose this home so that you believe what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, it's true. And then he wanted to go and see a house today. And when I called the agent to see if it was still available, she said it was under contract. And this was one he really liked, because I wanted to take him to go see it the other day, and he had to work, or there was some reason why he couldn't see it then, and now it's gone. So he's like, oh, another one bites the dust. Well, yeah, are you getting the picture? That we have to move quick, and we have to make a decision quickly, and we can't be acting like we make all the rules, because that's, I guess he came into this, and I guess maybe I didn't do a good job of setting expectations up front, because I feel like he thinks he makes all the rules when it comes to buying the house, that the seller's going to take, like he's dictating what the terms are.
Hey. How's it going?
All this?
Yeah,
you're going to need it.
I know, I'm listening. How did you not get in your feelings? Because after all that work, you did so much, and it's just like, I'm listening, like, I would have been pissed. I'd have been so mad.
Oh, Ebony, I did a lot of work. And I negotiated a great deal for him. And I felt like such an ass when he said he wanted to terminate. I'm like, now I got to go back and tell this agent we're terminating. After they agreed to literally 95% of what we asked for.
And it's just like, what is your hiccup? Like, that's when you just want to knock on their head. Like, what is going on up there?
Have fun.
Oh, gosh, I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. That's why I meditate in the morning. To be honest, that's why I meditate in the morning. Just gives me a different mindset. I don't get upset.
I mean, here's the thing, Dawn, I might need to have a coaching session with you later on meditation. I've been trying to get into that. I'll tell you, I used to have a little money stash, if you will. I usually had like $1,000 in this account that I was like at peace with losing in an effort to move something along. Mm-hmm. Right.
That is genius.
And like, I remember this guy, we had negotiated the HVAC system to be cleaned. And I had a receipt that said it was clean, but there was still a couple little specks or whatever. And the guy's like, I don't want to close. And I said, what do you want? He says, I want $2,500. And I went to the other agent and I said, what can you give? She said, $1,500. I said, cool. I'll be back to you in a minute. And I said, they're going to give $1,500. Are you happy? And he said, no, I want 25. I said, so if you get another $1,000, you're going to buy this home? And he said, yeah. I said, I'll see you at 12. Right. You ain't getting back in my car. We're done today. Today's the last day. We're done. Yeah. Right. I've told you guys this story before, and I'll end with this. I had this guy, not to get in, I could go on for hours about this guy. I've had nightmares about him for years. Okay. He went to the design center after having gone under contract with this new home construction. And the woman that met him at the design center was relatively new. So she didn't tell this guy about every single possible upgrade that could be made. Okay. So he didn't get to pick out the master bathroom vanity that had a makeup counter. Okay. His wife wanted the makeup counter, right? Sink, small little makeup counter, other sink. Okay. The reason why is because it really didn't fit in the bathroom. It was off by like 4 inches. Okay. But if it could have happened, which it ended up happening, we had to move the faucets for the tub over, and then they had to order another $20 worth of tile. And like, it was a mess to make this fit, but it ultimately did happen. Okay. So anyway, they said, have I told you this story, Donna?
I don't remember hearing this one.
Ebony? No? Okay, so he just keeps talking about this freaking sink. And I'm like, dude, every time we get on the phone, you're talking about the freaking sink. This has got to stop. And so we priced it out. It was $500 more. $500 more for this sink. And after a week or two of every time we talked, him complaining about this, the fact that, you know, he wasn't told that this sink was available and he wanted it, blah, blah, blah. I said, let me ask you a question. I said, I'll make you a deal. You promise me never to talk about this again. Not a word. And I will pay the $500. However, if you say one more word about it, you're paying the $500. He said, really? I said, I am dead serious. And he says, okay. So I paid the $500 and he never said a word about it again. And it may have been the best $500 I ever spent. Right? Sometimes we just have to like, this has got to go away. I cannot spend another minute thinking about this.
I can see myself getting to that point someday where I'll be able to resolve things like that.
Me too. Sometimes it just makes sense. Like, I'd rather peace than to go through that headache. And if
it's like,
money
I need
change
to.
It, here you go.
Yeah.
I maybe could have salvaged my deal, but I feel like, I don't know. I just felt like maybe this wasn't the right house for him, that he didn't really love the house and that I would be the reason why he bought that house. So, because he sent me a text and he said, I want to terminate. And he put in capital letters, final, like that's his final decision. So I didn't pursue it after that.
Yeah, that's because he knew
like
you'd probably talk him out of it with logic.
Yeah. I mean, I probably could have chipped in, you know, for another year on the warranty or something like that. I could have did something to save it, but with his big final, I just let it go. It's like, we'll move on.
Yeah, sometimes like when especially in a lot of recruiting, when they turn me down, they usually don't call me to turn me down because they know I'll get them. Mm-hmm. They usually email me.
Yeah.
Right? And I say, let's talk about this on the phone. And more often than not, they agree.
Yeah.
And nearly 100% of the time, it comes right back open. Somebody says, well, I'm not going to accept the mega camp invitation. And I'm thinking to myself, you 3 days of free training? What's your problem? Why would you not accept this? This is a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so I sent her a message that said, we need to talk about this. I need more information. I'm not letting you off the hook that fast. Right? Get her on the phone, done. Because when they're emotional, I'm logical. When they're logical, I'm emotional.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Okay.
Good thing to remember.
I know, that is such great advice.
I know.
Right? Logic makes them think. Emotion makes them act. Okay?
Yep.
Logic brings them to the house they asked to see. Emotion is what causes them to look at you and say, let's write it up.
And that's why we need to do a good job of getting at their motivation.
That's what it's all rooted in. You're exactly right, Donna.
Right.
You're exactly right. All right, I'm going to hit the stop record on this real fast. I